going crazy.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
And we're back at it. I'm late because I like to talk about getting in a rhythm and then totally getting off of it. That's kind of my style. So let's take a little sip of this brew and let's get on into it. Because I'm fucking tired of this shit. I'm probably going to say some funny stuff. I'm going to vent after a week's worth of not doing anything. Because, yeah, we are back in lockdown here in Czech Republic. And I am so sick of this bullshit called Corvid. I'm tired of us living our lives based off a virus that is not going to go away. And I just wish there was some logic, any logic in the world right now. Because it's gotten now to the point, the whole new normal, like the new normal now is just there's no logic. And people go, well, that doesn't really make sense, but I don't know. It's just the way it is. It's like, oh my God. Like I finished 1984 a couple weeks ago now. I meant to maybe talk about it. And we're basically already in this time. I'd highly recommend reading 1984 by George Orwell. Quick book review of it. He wrote it in like 1940. It's one of his most famous books about the future, 1984, where every room has a telescreen, a TV in it that listens to everything you say and talk about. It's a extreme totalitarianism governments. There's only 3 countries left in the world, basically the Americas, Northern Europe, and Russia, and then Southern Europe and Asia, more or less. And they're always at war with each other, continuous warfare. You got to do everything for the party, everything for the country, this and that. And it's, I mean, we're essentially it's made marriage and human connection a bad thing and like a negative thing. Like, and we're slowly going there, and we're already there in certain ways. I mean, we all carry a telescreen in our pockets with us everywhere we go, which can listen to in on every conversation and send you ads for stuff that you've never even looked up before. You just talk about. I was in Orlando like a year ago talking with my boy Colin about like how editing videos and editing music are super similar to each other. And he was like, yeah, they make like packs of beats that I can buy that have certain drums and this and that. He's like, they probably have something similar for editing videos. Bro, the next day, my sponsored ads on Instagram were like editing packages for transitions and sounds and this and effects. I was like, I didn't look that up at all. So thanks, Google. So, you know, we're already there. Like, human connection is like slowly being made into kind of like not a negative thing, but like sex has been totally kind of hijacked by the porn industry, and porn in a way I think is like slowly like making human connection not as desirable. I don't know, you know, like there's some stats that say like this generation now, I don't know exactly what, is like the first generation to be having like less sex than the older generation. So like we're getting to that like tipping scale point where it's gonna like go back down. And I mean, shit, porn creates some completely unrealistic expectations on both sides. And, you know, just like it if you got that, like you can chill by yourself a little bit more. Then you don't need to go out seeking for actual human connection. And I think it's like we're on that track. And you know, I in terms of like the masks being constantly having to wear, you know, I'm in my little alternate world one way, like, yeah, it maybe helps a teeny bit, but man, I think there's a lot more negatives to the mask than there are positives. And especially like talking about this like human connection thing where like when this part of your face is completely cut off and all you can see are eyes, like this shit isn't very much fun to watch, right? But if I'm here and I'm smiling and talking and, you know, you get this extra, I don't know how many muscles are in the face, but body language is where a lot of communication happens. And so, you know, I've heard from friends that are teachers and people still in school and college and stuff and saying how school's just like weird and different. Now school's being turned into an online thing completely. So, man, I don't know. It's just all of this. I'm just rambling, venting, but it's all, I think, just an effort to like minimize continually human connection and, you know, what that is for in the big plan. I don't know, but it's going away from what we've been doing. And so maybe that's going to be a good thing. You know, maybe less human, I don't know. I think human connection is the one thing that all holds us together. Like very spiritual hippie, just did some LSD, kind of like we are all one, you know? And I think that is the answer for us. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and you know, some of these things I'm just noticing. But yeah, this week over here has been a little bit slow, you might say. We're officially back on lockdown here in Czech Republic. Stores are still open, from my knowledge, but restaurants are closed. Sports are done, well, postponed indefinitely, and the gyms are closed. So the three things that I do most with my time are shut off. And so I thought this place was a little bit boring when I could do all those things. Even now, we were reaching new heights. And man, this last week I was a piece of shit that didn't do much. Watched some Netflix. Played, anytime lockdown happens, I played this game called Zero AD. And it's like Mac's version of Age of Empires. Shout out to all those Age of Empire players out there. And it's just a great game for completely time traveling and losing sense of time. And that's what I've been using it for this week. My house, after I like totally patted myself on the back last episode and said, yeah, if I just keep my place clean and stick into a rhythm and da-da-da, I feel really good. It's like, oh, yeah, that's what you think? Well, here's no rhythm and you're not going to clean it at all your house. So my house, I cleaned it up this morning. But it was looking like shit, and I was feeling like shit. You know, it's just, there's so much uncertainty for me right now. And I don't mean to make, I know it's true for everybody, and I don't mean to make this about myself, but at the same fucking time, this is my show, so it's kind of about me, I guess. But like, you know, just the uncertainty of will we finish playoffs for one. Like luckily I'm getting my last paycheck though today. That's nice, which teams could try and hold shit out on, you know, they don't know. I mean, it was cool of them to be like this because no one knows. And so they could try to say some shit. If they did, I'd get the fuck out of here though, because this is not where I'm just going to spend money to hang around. But I look at the map today for like where I could even leave if the season did get canceled, because I kind of, you know, was planning on doing a little traveling in Eastern Europe or just going from east to west and taking a couple different buses back to Portugal. And I found a good little route today, but then on like Flixbus website shows that pretty much no one is accepting anyone from Czech Republic, although it could all be bullshit too. Like they put all these weird restrictions and stuff in the news, and then you talk to people, it's like, yeah, I went through the airport, no problem. No checks, no nothing. And so it's like more of a like deterrent to getting people to go and do that stuff rather than actually doing it. Like, I mean, just think about how many people there are in the world. Like, you can't control everybody unless people are willing to be controlled. And so, like, with the travel restriction stuff, like, what they're gonna, like, planes are still flying. I don't know. And so I think once I just get on a bus and I'm like, yo, I'm out, like, take your chances. And if they stop you, they stop you. And if you get to that level, you deal with whatever boss you got to defeat on that level, and then you keep it pushing. But yeah, I just don't get the point of any of this. Lockdown, politics, life, anything, man. Like, but let's stick with lockdown. And I hear places back in the States are like kind of locking down, but partially in bad areas and Like, spoiler alert, motherfuckers. Like, nature is gonna win. Like, we're sitting here thinking like we're gonna fucking run the clock out on coronavirus. It's like, no. Like, COVID ain't just like chilling until November 4th and being like, oh, time to go home. Maybe it is, though. Who knows? And so, like, in all the places, like here in Czech Republic, they shut shit down really early. Big on the masks, big on all of this stuff. It really, really worked, and they didn't have any numbers and da-da-da-da-da. Well, guess what? Now numbers are surging. It's back in that second wave. A lot more deaths than there were previously. Like, is anyone surprised? It's like the flu comes back around every year. Like, these things are going to continually be in there. Maybe what we should start talking about rather than waiting for the vaccine is like start talking about just being a healthy individual. Maybe, maybe drinking some water, even if it's fucking sparkling with a little lemon in it. Maybe, going to the gym, maybe getting out in nature, maybe getting some sunlight, maybe eating a couple vegetables, couple fruits a day. Not eating at McDonald's, not eating processed food. Maybe talking about any of those things more than, well, we've got a vaccine coming for January. Or what are we going to do? It's like, well, just be healthy. Maybe. But no, let's not talk about any of that. Nope. I mean, and I just don't, like I said, what's the point of the lockdown at this point? Or what's the point of any of these measures? In the state, at first it was, we got to flatten the curve. Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm along with it. And then it was also to flatten the curve because then hospitals aren't super busy and struggling and yada, yada. Oh, okay. I think that kind of makes sense, even though a lot of the hospitals, and I'm speaking from the state's statistics, a lot of hospitals in the rural areas, not in the just center city places, were firing people and laying a lot of people off because there wasn't enough to do because of these mandated things. And so that's a different story. But now, like, what's the end game? Zero COVID? Like, zero deaths? Like, what's the end game? We're just doing, like, right here in Czech Republic, they're like, well, we'll do it like this for 2 weeks, and then we'll see. It's like, we'll see what? If the numbers are down to a certain level, if the deaths are above this thing, we don't know. Just, we'll see. Let's wait and see. And I think it like a guy on my team was like, yeah, our government's really good here at like giving us the rules, but then not giving us the details of the rules for like 2 or 3 or 4 days. I'm like, dude, that's kind of a problem. But this is just like becoming the norm for news and government and regulations, is like there doesn't have to be a plan now. It's just like, oh, well, we got to do something, so here's something. Oh, and what about this? Crap. Well, we didn't think about that. So if you can do this, but only if you're doing that. Like going into the restaurants before they were shut down was the biggest joke in the world. I know everyone's done a bit about it, but going from being seated, I got to wear a mask. I didn't wear a fucking mask here. But once I sit down, I can take the mask off. And then I saw some stuff. I don't know if it's true. We're at a point now where I can't tell if something's actually parody or if it's real life anymore, because the dimensions are combining. We're like the Spider-Man movie Into the Spidey Sphere. I watched that last night. It's such a good movie where all the dimensions are coming together. We got the pig Spider-Man. He's coming into this dimension. We don't know if it's real life or not. It goes with all these rules. And Gavin Newsom, governor of California, said some shit about like, make sure you put your mask on in between bites at the restaurant. Like, what are we talking about? I think here in Czech Republic, like they could have plays, but the plays couldn't sing in them. So like you could have people come to the theater, watch a play, people could act, but they couldn't sing while they're in the play. It's like, what? Or, I think here, like the day before, like the lockdown really happened again, there's just a concert going on in the city center full of old people not wearing masks. And it's just like, so what are these rules? Like, one, if you're seated, it can't get you because of the whole restaurant thing. If it's out in open, you're kind of good, but we also got to stop sports events because of that. Like in football and all these sporting things, like you just play against a guy for 2 hours, but we can't have post-game handshakes. And I guess it means more for people who aren't coming in contact, but like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like the NFL is getting, they got these tests and that test and this test and that test and they're positive. And it's like, dude, yeah, just, it is what it is. The only way we're going to get through this is either one, lock it the fuck down and nobody moves at all forever. That's one strategy. Or two, like everyone's got to get it. And so if you are susceptible or like old or fat or previous problem, be careful. But also like do things to boost your immune system now. And if you're healthy, just keep doing that and doing you. And if you get it, most likely it's just going to be like a mild cold, if that. Like this fear-mongering campaign that they're running about like, we might die. Everyone might die. Like, is going to slowly go away. Because at this point now, we all know somebody personally or a friend of a friend or a brother, a friend of a brother or someone that's close enough that you know them that has had it and literally will tell you, yeah, I had a fever for like a day or two. I lost my sense of smell for like a day or two. And then it was just like kind of a weak cold other than that. Like the amount of people that I know who have said that, I don't know one person that's like, I almost died. But I know like 10 that did that. And I know, well, Joey, that's not how sample size and statistics and I know. But what I'm saying is we're all getting to the point where we know way more people who like had it and like were more annoyed by the quarantine than the actual virus of itself, than people who are like, oh, my brother got it, who was completely healthy running marathons and he's dead now. Like there might be one of those cases, but it's not the common denominator. Is that right? Common denominator? It's not common, And so, dude, I'm just like I said, if there was a plan, anything, like, man, I could get behind it. Like envious of Sweden for multiple reasons. Just they got dope style. Stockholm has a lot of fish in a pretty large pond. They got it going on up there. But then also, like, I think Swedes have some common sense, more logic than the rest of the world. And nobody just wants to talk about them at all. They didn't put in any strict lockdowns in place. They said, hey, if you need to be worried about it, be worried about it. Be smart. If you're feeling sick, don't come out, like responsible adult guidelines. And so in the beginning, they had quite a few deaths. But if you look at them now, not really many deaths happening. And I'm sorry, that's the number that matters. If we're going to get into fear tactic, like saying, hey, 5,000 new cases today doesn't really mean shit. It just means you're testing more. 5,000 new deaths today, okay, that one means a little bit more. But it's like, oh my God, the cases are just rising. It's like, yeah. One, the tests can be a little faulty. It also lets you know if, I think I'm just bullshit. Facts are irrelevant at this point, so I'm just going to say what I'm thinking. I've done some research behind it. But depending on what test it just tells you if you've ever had it or not. And so some people mistake the positive this for positive, like, so yeah, the more you get tested, the more people who are going to have it. So, but it's the people that are actually dying. That's the number that matters. And that number still is just so irrelevant, has such a discrepancy compared to other deaths that are happening that get no attention focused on them. Like, whoever is the PR manager for Corvid deserves a raise because they've figured out the hot topics, the hot buttons to push. And I mean, it's just insane. And so Sweden, I guess there's certain limits on events and being outdoors and this and that, but maybe some masks are required, but there's been no official lockdowns. They haven't shut down anything. And they're doing all right. I just don't know what to say. I'm frustrated. I've kind of lost hope with just like the idea that any logic will ever be used ever again. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, looking at the map on where can I travel, and hopefully it dies down over the next month. But all the countries around me are red. So like, even if my season ended tomorrow, it'd be like, well, what do I do? where do I go? And I think I could still get on a bus or I can go run across the border, just not, and like, I don't know, we can figure it out. But it was a little tough to see. But it's rising everywhere. It's gonna rise. Like, this shit isn't gonna go away. I just, do we really think it's not going away? Okay, they have a flu vaccine, a seasonal flu vaccine that they tell everybody to get every single year. Motherfuckers still be getting the flu, and people still be dying from the flu. Like, what? Nature is undefeated. It might have taken a loss in the first half. Nature's coming back in the second half, full force. Trying to beat Mother Nature? Man, she's been playing this game longer than you've even thought about it, bro. Mother Nature, man. She'll cross you the fuck up and hit a jumper in your eye, man. You'll have perfect D, too. Mother Nature don't care. Oh. Like, what are the choices? What can we do right now? I mean, we could just like, as a collective, be like, nah, fuck this. Like, we're opening up restaurants. Or, it just takes such a, like, we're all on a level, I've realized, of like taking orders from somebody that, like, the act of defiance just seems crazy, especially in times like this, because I don't know. Ooh, I gotta figure that one out. There's something to that. I don't have that fully formed yet, though. That could be the theme of this. Not fully formed yet. But like, I'm just scared, dude. I mean, kind of getting back to the mask stuff. As I brought that, I was like, I have a buddy in Seattle who's like, dude, I'm done wearing masks. It's up to us. If we all don't wear them, like what? They're gonna get everybody in trouble. And it's kind of true, like. And think about this from like the governmental side of things. Like, most governments have never had this much power and been able to shut shit down, open shit up, restrict this, allow that, state of emergency that. And so if you think that the governments want to relinquish this power, you're tripping. Because they don't. They like this. And so, like, I think it eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take. I have a feeling, man, I kind of just hope Biden wins at this point. I don't think he's gonna, but I just hope he does. I want politics to go back to being something that nobody really gives a fuck about, instead of all this like phony social justice warrior fucking fake activism, factivism, and about causes and caring about people that people don't even, they're just saying it to look good with a black square on their fucking profile. I'm just ready for us to go back to politics where like nobody really cares. And I don't know if we can get to that point anymore. But Biden, Kamala, Trump, people are going to care because, oh man, the media has never had such a great thing besides Trump. I don't care. What's the point? Both teams are losing. It's like being fans of the fucking Browns or the Bengals. We're all in Ohio, motherfucker. We're all losing. Oh. Seriously, that's what it's like. It's like we're all, no matter who it is, we're losing. And we've been losing. Like, what are we expecting? Tim Dillon said some really good shit in his most recent podcast about, like, where we're at in the States. And maybe I said basically it's like, when you're a kid and you have a party at your house and then your parents come home and you don't have time to clean it up. It's like, well, we had a good party. And we're at that point now where like, we're just going to have to explain to our kids that we had a really good party for like 50 years where no one really gave a fuck about it. The music was great. But now we're getting to the point where the music is, I don't know. He explains it so much better. It was really good though. But no, I think my thing of like, bro, we're all in Ohio. It doesn't matter whether you're a Bengals or a fucking Browns fan. We're gonna lose. Like, the most exciting thing of the year is probably going to be the NFL draft to see who's up next. And so, why are we getting so excited about the NFL draft? We know we're going to lose. And I just, like I said, what's the point? Trump wins, and what? America's saved? We're great again? where the economy rises for a little bit, and then it's going to fall, and then it's going to rise. We're a sexist, racist country. Okay, I think we've been. What if Biden wins? Well, then Kamala's going to be president because she for sure is. Like what? Okay, I'm cool with that. Let's get a woman in there by default. But I mean, what? And then what? He says some stupid shit and doesn't know what the hell he's talking about for a couple months before they replace him? Yeah, probably. Some taxes rise, others fall. There's something with the Supreme Court that goes on. Yeah, maybe. Like, all of this shit is like Lost. Where like, you could miss all of season 7 and Lost and then hop right into 8 and you'd still pretty much be just about on board as everybody else. You'd be like, wait, where'd that one guy come from? Or are they in a dream right now? Or is this? But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Like what? It doesn't matter. What's the point? Has one president ever changed anything? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And so every year I've myself get caught, this is the one. This one is very important. Is it really? We look back in like 100 years. It's like 2020 was the quintessential election that changed the course of the entire world. And then they showed this podcast clip next to it. Does it really matter? But I mean, like, really, does it really matter? Like, for my life, maybe I think we're doomed no matter what, really. But that's my grandkids' problems. Like, it's not like Biden gets elected and the reptilian lizard leaders all show themselves on election night. And it's not like Trump wins, like every pedophile is caught and thrown in bars that night either. Like, do we really know? What happened to Ghislaine Maxwell? What's going on with her? That's some current news I'd like to know. What's the lady who was responsible for, like, right-hand manning one of the largest underage sexual predator people in Hollywood with an incredible amount of connections and ties to royalty and elites and Hollywood? What's going on with her and her trial? That would be fun to know. But no, we don't know that stuff. We don't know that stuff at all. It's like, yeah. It sucks not being able to go to the bar. I'm not going to lie. I was just becoming a regular at my spot where I knew everybody who worked there, knew them all by names, even kind of getting some smiles saying what's up to the cooks back there. That's when you're going to a place a lot, is if the cooks know who you are. Because there's only a couple seats in a restaurant where you can actually see into the back table or the back kitchen. And so, depending on where you're sitting, at this restaurant, there's really like 2 spots that I could sit at where I got a view into the kitchen. And I was at the point now where a cook would look out and he'd see me and throw me a little head nod. And what's up, dog? That's all gone. That's all gone. And it just it made me think, I did JL Beers in North Dakota was a great spot for me. I'm trying to think now of all the places I've been regulars at. See, in Connecticut, let's go by college. California, wasn't really a regular anywhere. Maybe just 7-Eleven to get Swishers and Munchies every night. We just went to Taco Bell and McDonald's by my house, and that was pretty much it. North Dakota, I was a regular at JL Beers, but I wasn't like at that age where like being a regular was something I wanted to be. And JL Beers was this burger place with fresh made like potato chips or fries, and they had a ton of craft brewers on fucking tap. Ooh, that place was really good. And then, but I guess I'm thinking of a regular as in a place where like I go and they know me. And I guess in Connecticut at one of the diners I went to very regularly, all the fat old ladies there loved me. And like if I went back now, there would for sure be one of the same ladies who work in there, same Greek family that owned it. But I'd walk in there, oh, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. It's like, yeah, 3 years, but same timeline, I guess. In Portugal's probably the spot I really started to become a regular at. I guess maybe Connecticut with the diner. But in Portugal, I had my cafe and I had Sanjuk's restaurant where you could come to a Nepalese restaurant and see me in a table of 5 Nepalese dudes all drinking and bullshitting and talking and yelling and laughing and look at me like, what doesn't belong? Like that game would have been really easy to play there. And then also in Portugal, we went to Pão Pão Queijo Queijo, which is like a sandwich place that was fire. And even if I go now, like the guy will be like, hey man, how you been? Then I also had my bakery, not the cafe. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, maybe there's a reason why Lisbon has such like a home feeling for me, is because it's literally the place where every time I go back, I can go to these 3, 4, 5 different spots, and like the person who's working there is like, oh, hey, how you been? Good to see ya. And I like that. I like that a lot. In Poland, I kind of had a similar thing at a cafe in Poland where I go back and the owner, forget her name, Maria, she'd, Joey, and give me a hug. I guess I just like to be remembered. I guess we all kind of do. Poland, where else? If I went to Vodka, if I went to... there was a really good falafel place in Poland called Fala. But I don't know if they'd remember me or not. All right, we can get off of this subject, I guess. But like I said, it was just nice being a regular somewhere. You know? Like, that was cool. I go in, hey, what's up, Peter? Last week, it was super funny. The last, I made the most of my last week here for things being open because I went to my main restaurant I go to, and I'll go there at all times of the day, get done with the gym, at night, whatever. And so I went there like Friday night or Friday afternoon, I think, after the gym, or I don't know if gym wasn't open now. But I got a coffee there with a girl who works at the gym, who I'd always just get drinks like my water at the gym. And we kind of bullshit and was like, well, we can't have water together anymore. And so met her there. And then the next day, Saturday, I was just going to go there to meet another girl who teaches at the English school next to me, just to grab a beer, thinking, okay, I'm going to have some like native English conversation, because I thought she was like British or something. It comes to find out she's just from Czech and has this crazy weird accent with words. I don't know. It's cool though. And so I'm going there, or I'm already there. And I said, well, you can come meet me here. Okay. And then I got another text from a girl from Tinder like a couple weeks ago who doesn't live here, is from here. We've just gotten a drink one time. That was it. She said, hey, I'm back in town this weekend. I'm going to Zveromex if you want to meet me there. I said, well, I'm already here, so I'll see you in a bit. And so talked with the first Tinder girl for an hour or two, and I told her, hey, I'm meeting another person here, but it's not like a date. You can hang, it's just whatever. But she got all weirded out by it, I guess rightfully so. And then a new girl musical chaired in, and then the next day I was with another friend there who was a different girl. So in a matter of 3 days, I'd been there with 4 different girls, and it was always the same bartender there, this another girl. And so I want to know what she thought about me. I was looking like I'm doing big things. Speaking of big fish, small pond, you know what I'm saying? What? But no, not really. Yeah. I was a regular. This kind of reminds me of a little party story. I don't miss partying or anything like that, but man, just not being able to do anything for a week, I just miss going out. And the few times that I like went out to the bar that stays open late and like people go to, which that bar called Bioscope reminds me a lot of Seattle. Like if there was anything being close to Seattle in Yihlava, it's Bioscope, because you go to Bioscope and it's like the hip, younger crowd for sure. A lot of, and that's Seattle-y, and then a lot of people who are trying really hard to not try hard, you know, in terms of just, I think you get what I mean there. There's always kind of like a light smell of weed in this bar because of those 2 things I mentioned before. And they have good beer, and the bartenders are kind of assholes a little bit. Like just not very friendly. And I would say at other places here, that's I guess at my one other place I go, everyone's cool. So at this one place, like it's just much more like party-y, true bartenders who have to deal with drunk people coming up to the bar constantly, and the other one's more of just restaurant style. You don't order beers at the bar. And so I was in there one night, and I was like, man, this is kind of like Seattle, you know? Good beer, shitty bartenders, smell of weed in the air, and people, hipster crowd trying hard not to try hard. So it worked out good. But no, I don't know why this is on my mind, but in North Dakota, man, I wish I could go back and party one time in North Dakota, because it was a good party town. I will say that, like 100%. That was a good party town, because all the bars, for the most part, were on like 2 streets that were connected downtown. And downtown is like a word used very liberally. And but we used to go to this place called Gillies. I don't know if it's still called Gillies. That had, I mean, it was the trifecta. It had everything you needed. It had the bar, it had a dance floor. You could play blackjack, pool tables, maybe foosball also, but pool tables. So, I mean, it had everything. And so we would go there, and most people wouldn't go out until like 11:30 or 12, stay out till 2. And so Gillies had good business around that time, but not a ton of business besides that. And so I don't know what their idea behind this was, because they couldn't have made any money off of it. But they had a VIP thing where it's like if you knew someone who worked there, if you showed up at 10, or I think before 10:30, you got a bracelet and a cup for like $5 or $6. And it was all you could drink from 10 to midnight. The deal ended at midnight. I mean, anything you wanted, whether they're on tap good beer, vodka Red Bull, whatever, was all fair game. I think you were only supposed to be able to drink shitty beer or shitty alcohol. The bartenders didn't give a fuck. So we could go there. Me and my man Bickle would get there at 10. We'd get there at doors opening. We get our money's worth, boy. Get the cup in those days, what was I drinking? Probably rum and Coke. Majority of the time, rum and Coke, I'd say that's what I was doing. And then we'd go play some pool, get a pool table, or we'd hop on blackjack. Greatest part about North Dakota, in my opinion, is the gambling laws are very relaxed. And so there's in almost every bar, there's a blackjack table and some other kind of roulette kind of thing, but they had a different name for it. There was like a pig. I don't know what it was. Anyway, I like blackjack and dollar minimums. I like it. Spend $20, waste some time. Maybe you lose it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you come out even. You just wasted an hour, 2 hours while having something to think about while you drank. So we'd do that. And boy, I mean, by midnight, we could be shit-faced. Like, shit-faced. Hour and a half, 2 hours of free drinks. And I'm pounding that shit, dude. You know? And I still, to this day, I don't have like one specific story about Gillies that I can remember. My story about Gillies is something that I can't remember. And so to this day still, there was one night, and it was the weekend of my 21st birthday, where I don't know where I slept that night. I think I was drugged. I'm almost positive I was drugged, because that's like not a common sentence that gets said. I don't know where I slept that night. But yeah, to this day, like, you know, normally like blackouts, you come out of them when you wake up. You know, you have a great night party and you don't remember anything from 1 a.m. until you wake up. But then once you become conscious again, that's your next memory. Well, for me, that night or that next morning, my next conscious memory is just I'm walking down the street on like kind of a back street, neighborhood street in North Dakota. And I kind of have like a vague memory of maybe coming out of a house, but I couldn't tell you where it was. Even after I was just left it, I couldn't say, hey, I was in that house. So I'm walking down the street like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know where my car is. I don't know where anything. I mean, big drinker and driver back in the day. Not so much anymore, but oh boy. That's one good thing, I guess, in the U.S. about us learning to drive at 16 is you get to learn how to drive drunk very early in life. Shoot. And so anyway, I don't know where the fuck my car is. I somehow look around and I see my car like 3 streets over. So I'm like, okay, I don't have my keys. I'm like, what the fuck? Look into my car. I can see the keys on the seat. Car's locked though. Damn it, not going to get that. I have practice this upcoming day because it was, let's see, we played on a Thursday. I think this was a Friday night or a Saturday night. And so we just had like the little quick walkthrough kind of practice on Sunday or whatever. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'll get my keys after practice. So I start walking home. I'm maybe like a mile away from home. As I'm walking, 3 fire engines just all by my house. I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on? I hitchhiked home. I don't know what was in my mind. I just threw out my thumb. I'm in little town, North Dakota. Said, hey, I'm just going up like half a mile. Yeah, hop on in. That's right. I get home, and those 3 fire engines are at my house. And not for my level, not my apartment. The guys below us, I guess, had a fun night themselves and left the top ramen on the stove after they fell asleep, which produced a little smoky event. And yeah, but still to this day, I don't know where I slept that night. And I can remember my last coherent moment of that night. Drew Daggett had bought me a beer. We were having a Miller's Light, I think, or a Bud Light bottle, standing at this one table. I don't remember what we were talking about. Drew Daggett dropped first touchdown that should have been that game or that day before. I was probably telling him, don't worry, but secretly like, man, fuck you, bro. And so I don't know what we were exactly. He got me a beer for my birthday. I remember that. That was cool of him. That was nice of him. Lights out for me after that. And I was like, did I, talking to somebody who was like, did I seem that drunk last night? And they're like, no, I saw you walking along the street after closing. I was like, did I see that? We talked. I said, oh, okay. I don't remember. Did I seem that fucked up? No, not really. Huh, okay. Yeah, one person was like, yeah, I saw you talking to the bouncer at Gillies. Which, like, not who I would normally be talking to. And so I don't know if I just took the roofies like a fucking champ or what. So if you have any whereabouts or any recollection of where I slept on, this would be like August 31st. No, this would be like September 3rd, 2011. Please call in and let me know. Damn, I forgot to do it in the beginning. I still got my guy, Mihal, and Paco messaging me, hit me up, provide me some feedback and response. I appreciate y'all big time. That's awesome. You guys are you guys are in number one fan club. Because both of you are awesome. So yeah. But if, I know we're in weird times right now. If you got something that's on your mind, a question, a comment, a concern, a doubt, whatever, get it off your chest. Don't let it boil up inside and freak out on your fucking mom. No, don't do that like I do. Instead, call in to a random person's podcast and vent like a normal person in 2020, okay? I don't care what you say. Speak in another language. We'll throw it on here. It'll be entertaining, I think. Yeah. Please do. Easiest way is Instagram, @livingforaliving, or we can do WhatsApp, +1 425 443 6928. I got to come up with a jingle for the phone number. Get it stuck in people's... That's some brainwashing right there. And I can't remember any of the jingles I want to think about right now. There's a carpet cleaner one. For some reason, speaking of programming, I can still remember the quadratic formula from math. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of 2 of... Fuck, I keep forgetting it. Maybe I'm deprogramming myself. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You just gotta sing it to ring around the rosy. But like, that is some fucking programming right there. The fact that I can remember that. I learned that probably 8th grade, 9th grade. 15, 16 years later. Haven't used it once in the real world. I don't even know what it's used for. But I can tell you what it is. I need to be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire so I can cash in on that fucking question. Yeah. That was a good one. That's a good one. I don't know where to go from here. I'll be honest. I'm in a bit of a weird place, I will admit, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Not in a bad place, just an interesting place. I know we all kind of are. It is what it is. But that's just being straight up. It is freeing, though, to know, and maybe this is dark, but I view it as kind of light. It's like none of this really matters. I don't mean to, yeah, that sounds super dark, but like, I'm not going to be here in 100 years. You're not going to be here in 100 years. The person you think is judging you for whatever the fuck you think they're judging you for when they're really not isn't going to be here in 100 years. So fuck it. Do what you want. Or don't do what you want. You know, I felt a lot of guilt this week because I didn't do shit. I was like, oh, now I have some time to edit some vlogs and do this and that and da-da-da-da-da. I didn't do shit. I was a piece of shit this week. Oh, I can go back and look at past podcasts and listen to those and edit those, which I still want to do, but I didn't do it. What, I'm going to get mad? Well, so what? What am I going to do next? Like, next is all that matters. You know? Last doesn't really matter. Your last bite? No, it's your next bite. Last play? No, next play. Last president? Nope, next president. Nah, just kidding. That one still doesn't fucking matter. You know? And so why are we judging ourselves so much over everything? And this thing has definitely some power on it. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. And it also matters a lot. A little duality to end this one. But that's all I got. I'm going to hop off here and eat these wings I just made. As you can see, they're right there. Yep, they look good. Alrighty. Yeah, much love to everybody. Appreciate you, love you. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you next week. Holla.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?